December 18, 1944, 5:30 a.m. Bastogne, Belgium. The wind cuts first. Not loudly, not dramatically. It slips through wool, through leather, through skin, and settles into bone. You can almost feel it as a paratrooper of the 101st Airborne Division tightens his frozen fingers around an M1 Garand. The trees around Bastogne stand black and skeletal, their branches snapped by artillery fire. Snow crunches under boots that haven't been dry in days. Somewhere to the east, a German 88 fires again. The sound rolls low, heavy, final. This is not supposed to be happening. Just 48 hours ago, Bastogne was a quiet Belgian crossroads town. Now it is a trap. German armored columns of 5th Panzer Army have surged west in total silence, their radios dark, their movement hidden by fog so thick pilots can't fly and artillery observers can't see. The Ardennes forest, dismissed by Allied planners as impassable to armor, has opened like a door. Inside Bastogne, the 101st Airborne wasn't even meant to fight. They were refitting, resting. Some men don't even have winter boots. Now they're surrounded. German infantry probes the perimeter. Panzers grind forward on frozen roads. Shells walk closer with every ringing shot. The sky is a solid gray lid. No air support, no resupply, no way out. And deep inside Allied headquarters, hundreds of miles away, a realization is beginning to form, slow, unwelcome, and terrifying. Supreme Headquarters, Allied Expeditionary Force, Versailles. General Dwight D. Eisenhower stands over a map table littered with grease pencils and cigarette burns. The Ardennes bulge isn't a bulge yet, it's a rupture. Red arrows slash westward deeper than intelligence ever predicted. This was not the plan. British and American staff officers speak in clipped tones, pointing, calculating, revising. German strength estimates are being crossed out and rewritten in darker ink. Eisenhower listens, jaw tight, eyes fixed not on the front line but on Bastogne. Because Bastogne matters. 7 roads converge there. Lose it, and German armor can fan out toward the Meuse. Hold it, and the enemy's momentum bleeds away with every hour. The question isn't whether Bastogne is important. It's whether it can be reached. Someone says it plainly, almost casually. The Third Army is facing south. A pause follows. Everyone in the room knows what that means. Lieutenant General George S. Patton, Jr., is driving east toward the Saar. His Third Army is fully committed, attacking German positions along the Siegfried Line. His supply lines are oriented south. His artillery is registered forward. His divisions are spread and engaged. To reach Bastogne, Patton would have to do something no modern army has ever done in combat. He would have to stop, turn, and attack north. In winter, in snow, against a German offensive designed to shatter Allied coordination. It would require pivoting an entire field army, over 250,000 men, thousands of vehicles, fuel, ammunition, food, on frozen roads already clogged with refugees and retreating units. Most commanders would call it impossible. Patton does not. Back in Bastogne, the temperature drops again. German loudspeakers crackle through the trees, demanding surrender. American soldiers laugh a thin, tired sound and pull their coats tighter. Medical tents overflow. Ammunition is counted by the clip. Every round matters now. Colonel Harry Kinnard, acting division commander, watches German armor probe another road. He knows what they're waiting for. They're waiting for the Americans to starve. And according to German intelligence, they will. Captured documents later reveal the German timetable. Bastogne is expected to fall within days. Relief forces are not anticipated in time. Allied command, the Germans believe, will be too slow to react, too rigid, too cautious. They do not factor in speed as a weapon. They do not factor in Patton. December 19th, 11:00 a.m. At a staff meeting, Eisenhower asks a question that snaps every head in the room toward him. How soon can you attack north? Patton doesn't hesitate. Tomorrow. There's a beat of silence, then disbelief. Tomorrow. Not regroup, not prepare, not in a week. Tomorrow. Patton has already planned it, quietly, methodically. His operations staff had drafted contingency orders days earlier just in case. Units will disengage under cover of darkness. Columns will reroute. Traffic control points will be established along icy roads. Engineers will clear bottlenecks. Fuel trucks will run non-stop. The Third Army will turn like a door on its hinge. Eisenhower looks at Patton, really looks at him. This is the moment, the shift, the instant where Eisenhower begins to understand something unsettling and powerful. If Patton can move this fast, if an entire army can change direction under fire, then the German offensive is no longer unstoppable. Speed is no longer just movement. Speed is decision. Speed is shock. Speed is survival. But Bastogne is still surrounded. The snow is still falling. And Patton's lead elements haven't moved yet. The gamble has been made. Whether it will pay off will be decided on frozen roads to the north. Night falls early on December 19th, smothered by low cloud and thick snowfall, the kind that erases landmarks, the kind that turns roads into guesswork. Along the front lines of the Third Army, orders begin to move, not shouted, not broadcast, but carried by runners, radio bursts, and hastily typed field messages. The words are simple, almost casual. Cease offensive operations. Prepare to pivot north. For thousands of men, it feels unreal. Artillery batteries that fired south at dawn are ordered to limber up by dusk. Tank crews drain oil thick as syrup, curse the cold, then start engines that protest like living things. Infantry companies pull back under cover of darkness, boots slipping on frozen mud, breath rising in white plumes. This is not retreat. This is reorientation. And it has to happen without the Germans noticing. On the roads behind the lines, chaos threatens. Convoys stretch for miles, GMC CCKW, deuce and a half, trucks, fuel tankers, ambulances, half-tracks, all funneling onto narrow Belgian roads already choked with civilians fleeing the German advance. Horses pull carts loaded with furniture. Children stare wide-eyed at American tanks rumbling past, snow caked on their glacis plates. Military police are everywhere. White armbands, whistles frozen to lips, hands raised pointing traffic through crossroads with absolute authority. A single mistake here, one jammed intersection, and the entire schedule collapses. Patton knows this. So does Eisenhower. Back at headquarters, Eisenhower tracks the movement pins on the map. Each one represents a division: 4th Armored, 26th Infantry, 80th Infantry, shifting, realigning, compressing. This shouldn't be possible. Yet by midnight, the impossible is happening. At the tip of the spear is the 4th Armored Division, commanded by Major General Hugh Gaffey. Their Shermans are worn, scarred, reliable. Crews sleep in shifts inside steel hulls that radiate cold. Frost forms on the inside of periscopes. The order comes down: advance north, no delay. There is no dramatic send-off, no speeches, just engines starting in the dark and tracks biting into ice. German intelligence misses it. Their aerial reconnaissance is grounded by weather. Their radio intercepts are incomplete. They expect Allied confusion, hesitation, paralysis. Instead, American columns begin moving with machine-like precision. Every hour matters now. By dawn on December 20th, the snow thickens. Visibility drops to yards. Roads disappear beneath drifts. Tanks slide on turns, steel tracks screeching as drivers fight for control. Progress slows. This is where most advances die, not by enemy fire but by logistics. Fuel freezes, engine seize, men collapse from exposure. Patton's solution is ruthless simplicity. Keep moving. Broken vehicles are shoved aside. Units bypass stalled columns. Fuel trucks drive until empty, then turn back without waiting for orders. Engineers clear roads under shell fire. When bridges are blown, temporary spans go up in hours. Speed is no longer about comfort or caution. It's about momentum. German resistance begins to stiffen by the afternoon. Elements of Panzer Lehr Division and Volksgrenadier units throw up roadblocks. Anti-tank guns bark from tree lines. Shermans burn, black smoke punching through the white landscape. The Americans do not stop. They flow around resistance, fix it with infantry, and keep driving north. Radio traffic is clipped, urgent. Contact light. Continuing advance. Road passable. Every message feeds back to Eisenhower. Every mile changes the equation. Inside Bastogne, the situation grows desperate. Ammunition is rationed. Wounded pile up in cellars lit by candles. German artillery pounds the perimeter with grim regularity. Another surrender demand arrives. General Anthony McAuliffe reads it, exhales a cloud of breath, and replies with a single word. Nuts. The message spreads like fire through the frozen foxholes. Men laugh again, louder this time, defiant. But laughter doesn't stop tanks. They still need help. They still need relief. Late on December 20th, Eisenhower receives updated position reports. Patton's lead elements are ahead of schedule. Ahead. Against terrain, against weather, against expectation. German intelligence projections are already wrong. And for the first time since the offensive began, Eisenhower allows himself a dangerous thought. What if they make it? Not eventually. Not after Bastogne falls. What if Patton's tanks reach the town before the Germans believe possible? If that happens, the German timetable shatters. Their spearheads outrun their supply lines. Their offensive loses coherence. The entire Ardennes gamble hinges on one thing now: whether speed can beat encirclement, and whether Patton can drive through snow, steel, and fire fast enough to prove Eisenhower right. Because somewhere ahead, beyond the white horizon, Bastogne is still holding. Barely. December 21st, 1944, before dawn. The engines never really stop. Along the frozen roads of Luxembourg and southern Belgium, the Third Army advances by the glow of hooded headlights and the dull orange flicker of exhaust flames. Snow cakes onto helmets, onto tank hulls, onto the dead lying half-buried along the roadside, remnants of units that didn't move fast enough. You can feel the urgency now. Not shouted. Not panicked. Focused. Every man understands the math. Bastogne is running out of time. At the head of the column, 4th Armored Division meets heavier resistance. German units have begun to react not with precision but with desperation. Roadblocks stiffen. Anti-tank teams stalk the tree lines. Panzerfausts wait at blind corners. A Sherman rounds a bend and erupts in flame. The column doesn't stop. Infantry dismounts, moving through waist-deep snow, rifles up, breath ragged. Artillery fires without full registration, shells crashing into the forest to suppress unseen guns. Engineers crawl forward under fire to clear mines with frozen hands. Minutes matter more than lives now. The doctrine is brutal but effective. German commanders are confused. Reports contradict each other. American units are appearing where they shouldn't be, too soon, too far north. Staff officers flip through maps, recalculating. According to their intelligence, the Americans need days to reorganize. They don't have days. They have hours. Back at SHAEF, Eisenhower watches the situation pivot in real time. The red arrows on the map stall. German advances slow as units are forced to redeploy south to meet Patton's thrust. Fuel meant for the drive to the Meuse is burned, instead defending roads around Bastogne. This wasn't in Hitler's plan. The offensive depended on speed and surprise. Now the surprise is gone, and speed belongs to the Americans. Eisenhower sees it clearly. This isn't just a relief attempt anymore. This is a counterstroke. Inside Bastogne, the weather finally breaks. On December 23rd, the sky cracks open into a hard blue. Sunlight glints off snow, and above the town, engines roar. C-47 Skytrains appear overhead, low and slow, parachutes blooming behind them. Ammunition, food, medical supplies, hope. Men cheer until their voices crack. The Germans fire wildly, but it's too late. The lifeline is back. Still, the ground war isn't over. Relief must come by road. Patton's lead tanks grind forward through villages reduced to rubble. Road signs flash past: Martelange, Bougainville, Chaumont. Each name marks another mile bought with fuel and blood. On December 26th, near the village of Eisenhower, the advance slows again. German defenses dig in hard. This is the last belt. They know what's coming. Snow swirls as Shermans form up. Infantry clings to tank hulls, faces wrapped in scarves. Artillery pounds the tree line ahead. Then the order comes. Advance. A single tank breaks through first. Lieutenant Charles Bulge, Sherman crests a ridge and smashes through a roadblock, machine guns blazing. Infantry follows, pouring into the gap. German resistance collapses in minutes, not because they lack courage, but because they are outpaced. By mid-afternoon, American tanks roll into Bastogne. Mud-spattered, frosted, alive. Paratroopers climb out of foxholes, grinning through cracked lips, slapping steel hulls as they pass. The encirclement is broken. When Eisenhower receives the confirmation, he doesn't celebrate. He exhales. The realization settles in, quiet, heavy, undeniable. Patton didn't just move fast. He moved faster than German intelligence believed possible. Faster than doctrine allowed. Faster than precedent. Faster than the enemy could react. Speed has become a decisive weapon. And Eisenhower understands now that the war has shifted. Because if an army can pivot like this, under fire in winter against expectation, then no German plan is safe. Not anymore. But this victory has a cost. And the counteroffensive is only beginning. The question now is whether the Germans can be stopped. It's how hard they will fight when they realize they've lost the initiative. The report reaches Eisenhower late. Not in a rush. Not breathless. Just precise. Contact made with elements of the 101st Airborne. Corridor open. For a moment the room is silent. Then the map changes. Pins are moved. Lines are redrawn. The bulge that threatened to split the Allied front begins to tighten, not outward but inward. German units that once surged west now hesitate, forced to look over their shoulders. Eisenhower doesn't smile. He studies the map like a man who has just learned a new rule of physics. Until now, Allied strategy had been methodical: build strength, secure flanks, advance deliberately. The price of caution was time, but time, it was believed, could be afforded. Patton just proved otherwise. He proved that tempo could override mass, that initiative could dislocate an enemy faster than firepower alone, that an army which moved faster than intelligence estimates could collapse an entire operational plan. Eisenhower sees it clearly now. The Germans didn't lose Bastogne because they were weaker. They lost it because they were slower. Captured German officers confirm it in interrogation rooms lit by bare bulbs. They speak openly now, stunned, bitter, exhausted. Their maps show American units arriving days ahead of projected timelines. Their fuel calculations unravel. Their defensive lines never fully form. One officer says it flatly. "We did not believe an army could move like that in winter." Eisenhower reads the transcripts. He underlines the sentence. For Patton, there is no pause. Relief of Bastogne isn't an ending, it's a pivot point. His orders are already moving again. Press the advantage, exploit the breach, keep the enemy off balance. The Third Army keeps driving. German units retreat in fragments, burning vehicles, abandoning guns. Snow-covered fields fill with wreckage. The initiative has shifted, and everyone on both sides knows it. The Ardennes offensive begins to die not with a collapse, but with a hemorrhage. Every mile the Germans give up costs them fuel they cannot replace. Every delay invites Allied air power back into the sky. Every hour erodes morale. And all of it traces back to one moment. An army that turned faster than expected. Eisenhower reflects on it later, not in speeches but in decisions. From this point on, Allied operations accelerate. Risk tolerance shifts. Opportunities are seized faster. Commanders are encouraged to move when the moment appears, not when conditions are perfect. Patton's maneuver becomes a case study, not just in audacity, but in execution. Because audacity without logistics is suicide. Patton had both. The snow begins to melt in the weeks that follow. The forests of the Ardennes reveal what winter hid: burned tanks, shallow graves, shattered equipment. The cost is visible now. But so is the outcome. The last German offensive in the West is over. And Eisenhower knows something else now, something that will carry through the final months of the war. Victory doesn't always belong to the strongest force. Sometimes it belongs to the fastest one that understands the moment. Yet even as Bastogne is freed and the Bulge is pushed back, a deeper question lingers. If speed could break the Germans here, what else could it break? The answer will unfold as Allied armies race east, toward the Rhine, and toward the end of the war itself. The roads around Bastogne never fully recover. Even after the guns fall silent, the ruts remain, deep scars pressed into frozen earth by thousands of tons of steel moving in a hurry. Burned-out Sherman sit nose down in ditches, their paint blistered, their tracks twisted. German half-tracks lie abandoned where fuel ran out faster than hope. The snow melts slowly, revealing what speed cost. Bodies, broken equipment, decisions made without time to reconsider. You can almost hear it now, the engines, the shouted orders, the whistle of incoming rounds echoing through the quiet. For the men of the 101st Airborne, relief doesn't come all at once. It arrives in stages. Hot food, dry socks, mail that smells faintly of home. They talk about Patton the way soldiers talk about myths, half reverent, half disbelieving. The tanks that appeared out of the snow when surrender felt like the only logical outcome. For them, speed wasn't theory. It was survival. German units withdraw eastward in fragments. Interrogations paint the same picture again and again. Confusion, contradictory orders, columns rerouted mid-march to meet threats that appeared too soon, defensive lines that never solidified because the Americans arrived before the map said they should. Speed didn't just break positions. It broke planning. Eisenhower toured the area weeks later. He walks through Bastogne, past ruined buildings and hastily dug graves. He listens more than he speaks. When he does talk, it isn't about Patton's personality or bravado or reputation. It's about timing. About how wars hinge not just on strength, but on when strength is applied. The lesson stays with him. The final months of the war move faster. Across the Rhine, into Germany, toward Berlin, Allied armies exploit breakthroughs aggressively, pauses shorten, opportunities are seized before the enemy can recover. The tempo set in the Ardennes carries forward. Speed becomes doctrine. Patton will not live to see the long-term impact of what he proved in December 1944. But Eisenhower will. And long after the war ends, historians will return to Bastogne, not just as a story of endurance, but as a moment when the logic of modern warfare shifted, when an army turned faster than intelligence believed possible, and changed the course of a campaign. And